What's up, good people? Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. It is the eve of the NFL draft. Tomorrow is the opportunity, the biggest opportunity to turn your team around. We're going to hear all kinds of grades after the draft. Just like mock drafts were the first thing, we're going to hear all kinds of grades on what people did in the draft, which are flawed to begin with. Because here's the thing that's funny is they're going to grade the draft, what teams do, by the way they rated the players. Right? Well, if 40% of the first round players end up being bust, and you say, wow, they got the can't miss, pro ready Josh Rosen, and that's exactly what the Arizona Cardinals need, and he's a bust, then that grade that you did wasn't exactly right, kind of like your mock draft. The reality is nobody knows if these are good drafts for a couple of years. You don't know. And all of this, everything about football is speculation. The mock drafts, none of them are anywhere close to right. I don't think any of them in the first round are more than 30% right. 30%. If you did 30% in school, you double failed. You double failed. You get some points just for putting your name on right. So we won't know. We can assume, we can hope, we can say they took care of some of the problems, but we won't know until they get on the field. It's amazing how some guys that play great in college can't bust a grape in the pros. And I will also say that a lot of times what happens is you might be on one of the best college teams in football, where your team just has so much more talent than everybody else, and you're a product of all the people that are around you. But then, when you don't have as much great talent around you, and you're going against other great players, then you find out you really weren't that good. It was all those people around you. That happens. Sometimes we find out that guys from small schools that didn't play against elite competition, they really weren't that good. They were just playing against inferior people. But then we find some guys that had to struggle all their life to try and be relevant, but they outwork others, and they spend their time like a gym rat studying, making themselves great. And out of nowhere, being undrafted or late round drafted, become great. Nobody knows. But here's what I know that may be the best thing about the Dallas Cowboys that nobody else has talked about. One thing I like to say that's different about this channel: you got plenty of guys that are doing the X's and O's and the play breakdowns and the prospects, the draft class. Everybody's a specialist. I'm the guy who likes to put all the information together and be the update guy, but also the guy that kind of gives you a different perspective, being old. I'm one of the older ones out here on YouTube. Mike Fisher's older than me, but I don't know who else out here is older than the two of us. I'm 59. Law and all those guys, and they're babies in comparison. Some of you young guys out there doing YouTube, I done lived your life twice. So I like to be able to say, I can give you a perspective of maybe a person who's seen a lot more things, maybe is a little wiser. But here's what I'm going to surmise. Ooh, I like that word. Surmise about things that I'm hearing. Something that has been brought back to the Dallas Cowboys that I don't think has happened. I don't think it happened with Mike McCarthy. And I don't think it happened with Jason Garrett. I know it didn't happen with Wade Phillips. Probably with Bill Parcells. But accountability is back. And it's coming from the head coach. The head coach, you may think, we got a patsy. That's what everybody on ESPN says. We got a patsy. Brian Shoddy, he shouldn't be a head coach at things. Well, I tell you what. He's holding the Cowboys accountability. From what we're hearing is he's pounding the table with character issues. Guys that have had problems, he doesn't want that on his team. He does not want that on his team. You see, when he was hired as head coach in that press conference, you see the respect of the players that came there to support him. Not just the offense, the guys he worked with on a regular, defensive players as well. And to know that Micah Parsons, last year this time, he was doing the world tour. You saw him at baseball games, throwing out the first pitch and shit. You saw him in Japan, sumo wrestling. He was out there literally saying, I know what's best for me and my body. I know how I need to recover. I know we got a new coach, but that coach has got to understand he's going to have to, work with me. And you brought in Mike Zimmer, who literally kind of kicked back and said, I'm not going to mix things up. I don't want to mess up the flow. Micah Parsons was only accountable to Micah Parsons. And even though he's sitting here right now trying to get his contract, he came in. Why? Because he said the coach supports me and I want to look out for him. I recognize we have a new defensive coordinator. I need to learn the X's and the O's. I need to be a leader and set examples. And the things that went on before, and throwing D-Law under the bus, we'd hear D-Law talk about how we soft. We soft. We played soft. Yeah, we heard that. We definitely heard that. And we don't know what else went on in the locker room and what the dynamic was. But you heard Micah Parsons literally say, Dak, CD, and myself are not going to let that stupid crap happen in this locker room. So all of a sudden, now, you got a coach who's a little bit of a pit bull with the ownership and having input on what's going to transpire on the field. Mike McCarthy, he was the lapdog that they literally whipped year after year after year, and he wasn't going to say nothing. He literally was, we got a great team. Oh yeah, Dak going to bat for him and saying, we need a coach that has more input on what we're doing. Mike McCarthy literally said, well, I don't know what Dak Prescott's talking about here. I've got more influence this year than I've ever had. Well, guess what then? If you had a whole bunch of influence, then let's blame you then, because we didn't do shit. If you're telling me you were okay with the moves that we made, literally letting go Dante Fowler, Dorrance Armstrong, Stephon Gilmore, Biotish, Tyron Smith, Tony Pollard, you were okay with bringing back Zeke, and that's it, then you're an idiot. That was literally you kowtowing to the Cowboys instead of being the pit bull. And so, sometimes, now, guys, let me say this now. You can't do it that often. You can't do it that often because she'll kill you. Your woman will kill you. But sometimes you just have to kind of say, oh no, we ain't doing that. Here's what we gonna do. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh shit. Ooh. You earn respect. She's gonna tell you, wow, that shit turned me on. But don't do that shit again. Don't do that. But see, that's earning respect. And I think Brian Schottenheimer has earned respect from the Joneses. And he is trying to make them accountable for this team. Now, you're fighting a losing battle because you still got Jerry Jones, who's still looking for some glory holes. But you can feel a difference. I feel a difference. I feel a difference. You got Micah Parsons there at OTAs with no new contract, right? Being a leader. You got Dak Prescott busting a hump, and every day we see him working out with his guys, definitely in shape, ready to go, rehabbing the hell out of it. Hell, you didn't see Diggs working out harder this time around to try and get himself back on the field. And you've got a coach who's saying, I don't want these problem child. Because the Cowboys, they'll take a problem child in a minute if they think it's a bargain. Oh, hey, that damn Randy Gregory, he's first round talent. Yeah, so he smokes a little bit of weed there, but we think great things of him. No. Accountability is now in Dallas. And it makes me extremely happy about it. Tomorrow, Cowboys got to get it right, man. Got to get it right. Per Jane Slater and pretty much everybody else, it seems like the Cowboys really want Tet, McMillan, or Golden. Genty is definitely not going to be there. They don't want to get the running back in the first round. They want to get one of those two guys. And if they can't get one of those two guys, they'll look to move back and supplement it and make up for their production with extra picks. At least that's what we hear right now. We still don't have a trade in the first round yet. Tomorrow might be crazy, or it might just be, everybody just picks with what they got. Who knows? I do know this. It'll be a lot quieter this year, being here as opposed to being in the draft city among the crowds and all the people and stuff. I'm not sure how I feel about it because I miss being on the road. There's nothing better than going on a road trip with your boys. When we did that first draft trip with the RV and drove to Dallas, having the conversations with Rashid, rest his soul, and of course Michael, and having Me Too Blue and Foots. That was incredible. And, the road trip that we took to Kansas City with Game Time and meeting Prime Time there because he's coming from Florida, and David Wiley and everything else, and seeing Jay Tuck in Kansas City and stuff. Those are incredible times. Those are lifelong memories. And being there and being part of the crowd is great. But it ain't easy and it ain't cheap. It'll be nice to be able to be here, sitting at my desk with my computer in front of me, knowing I got a good signal to put it out there, and being able to actually look and analyze the picks. Yeah. There's so many different channels that you can watch. I get it. YouTube is growing in leaps and bounds, and they are announcing that you're going to be able to, a new feature they're going to have is when you have like the Sunday windows that you can watch multiple games, instead of them being preset, what they're going to be doing is you'll be able to customize them, not just with like NFL games. You can put a movie in on one and you have the game and everything else. So that way you can kind of keep everybody happy with one television. And I think that's going to be great. So that's where we are. It's the night before the draft, and all through the house, not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. Let me say to all you guys, I appreciate you, and I thank you all for all that you guys do. You guys keep me safe, and I don't know where I'd be without you guys. Remember, good people, tell the people you love how much you love them. When they're gone, they're gone. I love you guys. Tomorrow's a big day. I'm going to get me some rest. I'm going to go to bed early. And I'm going to be ready for Bear. Good night. Love you guys.